song, hey, who said we'd never leave Harlem alive.
So we made our way down to see one of my favorite artists this past weekend. I've been a Darrell Scott fan for at least 20 years, maybe longer. And I've seen him at headline shows. I've seen him at just walk-up shows where he would just be at maybe a local visitor center or something and doing something for a chamber and playing his guitar and singing. And every time that I've ever gone, I've always left thinking, man, I'd like to hear more of him and just to sit and listen. And he is obviously the king of Americana, and there's no disputing that. This guy is writing the rules and has written the rules through the years. I remember him saying one time that the mere fact that any of his songs were ever commercially commercial hits was just pure luck. That's not what he writes. He writes for the love of writing and for stuff that he knows. And of course, I would probably argue that also his writing is so good that a singer, a country artist, folk artist, whatever, if they're of any ilk at all, they're going to recognize brilliance in this type of stuff that Darrell does. So I've been a follower. I've bought CDs. I've got signed CDs, and pretty avid person on his team for someone that you go and sit and listen to him, and an hour and 45 minutes can pass, and you'll think that you've only been there 10 minutes. So really like him. So he was in having a show. He and Wil Hoge were doing some shows together and traveling from Raleigh, North Carolina together, Asheville and Knoxville, and saw that he had some tickets available in Knoxville. So my wife and I scooped up a couple of really good seats and felt like, okay, that'd be fun to go. We'll go over to Knoxville and do that one and just enjoy him. I'd never seen Wil Hoge before. I'd heard of him, and I'd listened to some of his stuff, but had never seen him in person. And he was okay. I mean, he's obviously a really good songwriter. He's a really funny guy. I liked his stories. He had a couple of songs that I was not wild about at all. Some of that just goes back to my own personal religious beliefs, and I feel like he was going a little overboard. Maybe he should try writing that song about Muhammad or some other religious figure just to see what the response would be. But at any rate, Wil Hoge came out, did his 40 minutes or so, and it was decent. Then after that, Darrell came out, and I was thinking that Darrell was going to have a trio with him, or at least a drummer and a bassist. But turned out that it was just him and his guitar, which in any other circumstance is always great, or any circumstance usually is really great.
I'm feeling pretty good, and that's the gospel truth. It's neither drink nor drug induced, though I'm just doing alright. And it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. It's hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be just as good?
Like historical society place where they had some kind of a women's display about women in early music, and so he had gone to that museum, I think it was, and it reminded him of this song. So apparently he just jotted down the words on a piece of paper and brought the paper out, put it on a music stand, and sang it and played it, reading the words off of that, which I thought was really neat personally. You see guys that are so slick and they're using teleprompters and all this, and for a guy to just have a moment where, hey, I really like this song, and spending time in the museum with that exhibit really inspired me. That was cool. But then in between songs after that, it kind of went downhill, and it was not entirely because of Darrell. I think his good nature, unfortunately, played to his disadvantage, or at least it played for his disadvantage, in my opinion, um, because people started yelling out songs and, hey, do this one and do that, and it really took away from the environment. We were in an old historic theater, which he tends to work, which is cool. And so you kind of had that ambience, but then it was just people that were, I'm not going to say obnoxious. I'm presuming that alcohol is probably involved because there was quite a bit of cup slinging. But it was just people that didn't have the listening room kind of demeanor. In fact, at one point, I told my wife, because this was her very first time ever seeing Darrell, she'd heard me talk about him, and she's listened to some of the songs, several of his songs through the years that I've liked. But I leaned over and I said, this would be a lot better if other people would just shut up and let him do his set. Because he had a set list. I saw him bring the set list out. It looked like it had about 15, 16 songs on it. But he ended up just kind of doing the request. Of course, he did Harlem, and Great Day was his encore. The best song was Out in the Parking Lot, which was one that he and Guy Clark wrote together. And he gave the backstory to it. But it would have been nice, maybe even, and if he listens to this, then I think a suggestion might be, when you come out, or maybe have someone somehow tenor the crowd that he's going to play several songs, and then at some point, hey, be thinking about some songs you'd like to hear me do, and maybe I'll do a verse and chorus of each one, because the guy does have a lot of hits and a lot of great songs that people really enjoy. And so I get that. And, I was hoping that we would do Uncle Lloyd, and Dreamer is another one that I really enjoy. And so it was fun in that he did some good stuff, and I enjoyed what I heard. I mean, he's Darrell Scott, and him playing and just going out, and he's so unassuming. They didn't come out and introduce him. He just walked out on stage, and in fact, I think he caught some people off guard because he just kind of come out and got his guitar, and he said, hey, you guys, y'all are really quiet out here. And it was funny. So that kind of makes you feel like, hey, this is Darrell, somebody you like. The last thing I would say was he was promoting the record that he and his brothers have recorded. It's the Scott brothers. So their dad has passed, and they have one brother that has passed away. I think there's 6 or 7 of them total. And so he was promoting it, and he made a comment, and I don't think it was the right comment. He said, this album is a lot of gospel music, a lot of church music, but don't hold that against me. And because I left the whole Southern Baptist thing 50 years ago. You know what? That's each his own. You worship how you want or whatever. But I think it would have been better presented had he said, this song is really heavy old gospel songs, old church songs, because that's my heritage. That's what my brothers and I grew up doing. And I hope you enjoy it and can enjoy the memories that it's brought back for me. But it just seemed like there was this anti-church kind of stance. And look, when I go to a concert, I'm paying to hear the singers and the artists and the musicians sing. I don't care about their politics. I don't care about their religion. I don't go to a political rally and expect that a concert breaks out, although that's kind of the demeanor, it seems like, these days. If you go to about anything, but at least you know what you're going for. And I didn't really take it all that offense. I get it. Some people have some church hurt scars and all that. And, it is what it is. But overall, if I had to grade his performance that night and the overall experience, I would give the overall experience about a C plus. I would give Darrell about a B minus. I have seen him in past performances where he was absolutely owning the room. And it was more like, in this situation, it seemed more like the room was directing and he was sort of in a defensive mode. He might have felt bad, I don't know. But he looked great and seemed like he was in good spirits. And certainly the songs that he did, they were classic. They were great. So hope you enjoyed my analysis of that. A couple of updates on the middleagedmusician.com. Finally got some things worked out. We had some people tried to rogue the titles and the domain. Got all of that taken care of, and have the website in production now. It's going to be very light. I don't like a very busy website. And I'm also going to add a blog to it. That way, because I've been to several, part of the reason I haven't done any podcasts in a while, we've been traveling quite a bit. Alaska, Savannah, Georgia, Vancouver. We've just been hot on the road. And then with my playing schedule and my full-time work schedule, it's just been really busy. But I'm going to go back and do some blogs on some past posts or past podcast posts. And then also get caught up on some musicians. I have some musicians that I've met along the way, seen. Actually, have a guy that I met down in Savannah, Georgia, that I didn't really get. He was at a karaoke bar, and it snowed in Savannah, and so we just wandered in. And this guy was fantastic, and he'd gotten a pretty good little following. I asked the waitress if he was like a regular. She said, yeah. So I ended up talking to the guy, and he was from Kentucky originally, but had moved to Savannah. I don't remember why, but was just a local guy that likes to sing and was really good at it. Did some Tyler Childers stuff and was better than Tyler Childers, in my opinion. But should have the website and the blog and all that here in a couple of weeks popping up. And hopefully can make this middle-aged musician thing a little more fun and a little more of a community than what it has been in the past. Thanks so much. Keep playing. Don't give up. Enjoy the gift, because it sure is a wonderful gift when you've got a wonderful time to be able to spend it together. Bye now.